Sure. But then again, I think from an atheistic point of view, it can't be understated what you just said, which is if we take human beings out, everything works in harmony.
Yes.
Absolutely. But Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all of these things, they are human invention. That's my belief. They are.
It's a claim, though.
Huh?
Claim we can deal with, right? Because he just made a claim. I believe. Have you read the Quran?
I'm currently
This one.
2/3 of the way through the Quran.
Okay. When you read the Quran, did you read it?
Expecting it to become such a relevant thing I'd need today. So
Did you read? It's the biggest growing religion, you know. Did you read it like you read like a book or a newspaper, or did you read it with thinking what is the intent behind every verse?
I read it the same way I've read the Bible and the Torah, which is unlike I would read a fictional novel or a magazine, knowing how important it is and how
good, great, great. Now, would you say before finishing the Quran, can you place a judgment over the Quran?
What, before reading it? No.
But you just done that.
Oh, before completing it, okay.
Before finishing the book.
In terms of my own personal...
Not only, by the way, sorry to cut you, not only the Quran, there's also the narrations of the Prophet Muhammad. There's many narrations of the Prophet Muhammad. Yeah.
Would I...
Understanding the Islamic point of view. Before understanding it, can you make a judgment over it?
I would argue logically no, because I don't think it's fair to make judgments of anything without some comprehensive understanding.
We agree with you. We have in Islam a rule in jurisprudence. It's called al-hukmu an al-shay'i far'un an tasawwurihi. Placing a judgment over something is based on you picturing and imagining and understanding that thing. So first you have to understand what is that thing in order for you to place a ruling over it, right? So if you agree with me on that, then you cannot say that Islam, etc., are man-made religions.
Okay.
You agree?
But they're written in man-made languages. And
that's fine. We agree with that as Muslims. We believe that.
Right.
That doesn't take away from the fact whether they're inspired, divine, or they're from a creator or not.
No, I suppose not. But at the same time, my argument with
the only way you would understand language is if they're written in man-made language.
Yes,
for sure, absolutely. But I was having this discussion, so I was talking with our friend there earlier about Julian James.
Stick to English.
No, let him finish what I'm saying. That was on my mind. Let him.
But with regards to the importance of language and how language and text plays its part in all of these discussions,
sure.
and the comprehension of religion. So I don't know if you've ever read The Origin of Consciousness and the Breakdown in the Bicameral Mind by Julian James, Ernie Jackson. If not, I recommend
Not specifically by him, no.
Okay, so
I read about consciousness, but not his works.
Sure. So his theory, which, to be fair, has been like hotly debated, and many people don't ascribe to it. But the theory is that so once upon a time we had in a monologue we had consciousness around the point from
Can I stop you there? We had consciousness. Where did it come from? I'll tell you something about Buddhism. Yeah, they talk about consciousness all the time. I go to them, where did consciousness come from? They say, we don't talk about that. Point is, look, in the end, if you're so fascinated with something, to the limit that people don't even know what consciousness is, they're having debates over the definition of consciousness, right? You have the hard problem of consciousness in science because it's a metaphysical thing. Then one person is not asking this fascinating thing, how did it come into existence? That to me is very strange, to me, right? Quran says something very beautiful, yeah? You read the Quran, did you read from chapter 2 onwards?
Yeah.
What does the Quran say about the soul?
I mean,
you read it.
I'm not
Chapter
gonna,
17.
I'm not going to be able to quote the entire thing. I feel like this is
I was just joking with you. Chapter 17 of the Quran says, يسألونك عن الروح. They ask you about the soul. Soul is consciousness, more conscious. Soul is to us even more than consciousness, but you can roughly define it as consciousness, yeah? They ask you about the soul. Say the soul is from the affairs of my Lord.
Okay.
And you have been only given a little bit of knowledge about it.
Sure.
When Allah says given a little bit of knowledge, that means until the end of time. Because given is a past tense, yeah? So until the end of time, we will only have little bit of knowledge regarding consciousness because it's metaphysical. It's not something you can put under a microscope, you can read and you can study, yeah? You can measure, you can't. So it's a metaphysical, it's beyond your scope in a sense, right? It's from the scope of the Creator, which is also metaphysical, right? So when you have something so fascinating, that comes back to the point I was making. It shows the amount of wisdom and knowledge that thing had to create such a thing that we not even able to comprehend it and understand it, right? So that proves the point I'm making about the knowledge. So the knowledge is a necessary thing. The power is a necessary thing. Not being restricted by time and space is a necessary thing. Restrictions, having it as restrictions upon you. Why? Because time and space continuous according to science started with the universe. So God created time and space, or whatever made the universe, if you don't want to use the word God, whatever made the universe, which is so far powerful and wise and knowledgeable, also is not restricted by the laws of time and space because he made it. Okay? And whatever made the universe is independent of the universe. In order for it to bring it into existence, right? It has to be before it to make it. So it's independent of it. It doesn't need it, doesn't require it. It maintains it. It created it, right? And then you have that it's one. Otherwise, it's not independent. Otherwise, it's not the creator because someone else created it, right? So you have these attributes. One, independent, knowledgeable, powerful, and not restricted by time and space. What would we call that being? Or that entity, or that whatever you want to call it. What would you call it? How do we refer to it as humans?
But I feel as though you're...
Do you see a problem with the reasoning? Tell me. Reasoning.
The only problem that I see
Yeah.
is that you're giving human attributes to something so inhuman and so completely beyond our realm of comprehension.
How do you know that?
How do I know?
It's beyond the realm of comprehension. But what do you assume? Because it has an attribute that we have in a lower sense, it means that that's anthropomorphic to it. Why do you
Sure.
assume that?
But using
So,
your example of...
Can I give? Sorry. Can I just give? And I'll let you say what you want. But I just wanted to make this point. Like Allah's knowledge, for example, Allah's knowledge, that what we believe as Muslims. Allah knows the past, present, future. Yeah. Allah knows not only past and present and future. Allah knows the events that didn't take place. If they were to take place, how they would be. Now think about that. That's a bit deep. Yeah. It's like this book didn't fall. Yeah. If it falls, Allah knows what would happen. Allah knows all the scenarios that didn't happen. If they happen, how they would be. Yeah? So that knowledge cannot be in any way, shape or form like the knowledge that we say as us as humans. Allah's knowledge was always with Him. Our knowledge is given, right? Allah's knowledge is not only eternal and all comprehensive, it's a perfect attribute of Allah. So He didn't need a teacher, He didn't need to read books, we had to attain the knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? So our knowledge in no way, shape or form is like Allah's knowledge. So we have something which we say, the Quran says, Laysa, which you have come across by the way when you're reading, it says, Laysa kamithlihi shay. Do you know why I'm making this point? Because I say to people, if you really want to give something its due right, you have to read it with understanding. Right?
For sure.
So then you have in your mind, you understand at least some of the positions of the Quran have, right? So Quran says, Laysa kamithlihi shay. There is nothing like unto Him. So there is nothing like unto Allah. The attributes that Allah has is not similar in any way, shape or form to the creation.
Sure.
Right? So knowledge and all of these attributes I was making, they're all unique in their own ways when it comes to Allah. Right? There's no way, shape or form like our attributes, our human attributes. Therefore, they're not anthropomorphic.
Okay.
Yeah. But Allah gave us some of these attributes, and that's a part of the honor that Allah has given us. He's given us a limited form of these attributes. Some of the honor that He given us, not given the animals, right? Animals don't have knowledge and wisdom and civilization. He's given us that. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have honored the children of Adam.
But why us?
Good question. And that
Why
deals...
not the animals?
That's good. That's a good question. First thing we have as a general premise, we say, لا يسأل عما يفعل وهم يسألون. We don't ask Allah why He does what He does. We are the ones asked. Why? Because we're the creation, He's the creator. And He's all wise, we're not all wise. He's all knowing, we're not all knowing. So by default, when He tells us something, it has to come by default through absolute knowledge and wisdom. Can we know the absolute knowledge and wisdom? That's a different point. Maybe we can know some of it, maybe we can't, right? Depending on what is the topic. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, Allah is, one of His attributes is Al-Khaliq, creator. And He repeatedly creates, He continuously creates. Yeah? Because Allah continuously creates creation, we're not, as some people think, we are the best creation of God and things like that. That's a Christian understanding. In the Quran, which is answering that point, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that we وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُمْ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُم, and we given them honor over many of the things we created. Not all, many. That means what? By definition, that means there is things more favored than us, and there is things less favored than us. He also says in chapter 16 of the Quran, after He mentioned some of the creation of the earth, He said, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and He creates what you don't know. So there's creations that we don't even know. So we're not that just the one creation that God created and He just looks after. No, Allah creates creates and creates and creates, and there's creations we don't know. He said He placed creation within the heavens and within the earth.